Welcome to Underdog Mindset. There comes a point in every person's life where the world turns its back, where the noise fades, where the room empties out and all you're left with is you, your breath, your heartbeat, your doubt, your will. And it's in that place, in that stillness, in that quiet corner of the world where your real story begins. Not in the applause, not in the spotlight, not in the moment where everyone suddenly wants to stand next to you. No, it starts in the darkness when no one knows what you're doing, no one sees what you're building, no one understands what you're becoming. Greatness is shaped in silence long before the world recognizes it, and that silence is where most people never dare to go. It's a place without applause, without validation, without any sign that the work you're doing matters. It's where you wake up before the sun not because someone told you to, but because something inside you refuses to settle. It's where you stay up long after everyone else has stopped trying, pushing through the discomfort, the boredom, the frustration, and the loneliness that comes with chasing something bigger than yourself. In that silence, the world won't clap for you because the world doesn't even know what you're doing, and maybe that's the point. Maybe silence is the only environment strong enough to expose your excuses and strip away everything fake. Maybe quiet is the only place where real greatness can breathe. Greatness doesn't grow in the noise of validation. It grows when no one is looking, when no one is cheering, when there's no camera, no spotlight, no audience waiting to praise you. It grows in those small repetitions you do when it feels like they don't matter. It grows in those moments when you question whether you're making progress at all. It grows in the days when quitting seems easier than continuing, and yet you take one more step anyway. That's the silent ground where character is built, where grit is formed, where discipline takes root. Every second spent in that quiet grind is a seed planted for a future only you can see right now. The world won't recognize it, not yet, but you don't wait for recognition to start. You don't wait for approval to build. You don't wait for a crowd to become who you were meant to be. In the silence, you learn to face yourself. You learn honesty, you learn patience, you learn endurance, you learn the truth about your weaknesses and the hidden depth of your strengths. There's no escape in silence, nowhere to run from your doubts, nowhere to hide from your fears. But the more you face them, the more they lose their power. Silence becomes your teacher. Silence becomes your training ground. Silence becomes the place where the future version of you is formed piece by piece, mistake by mistake, breakthrough by breakthrough. And even though the world can't see what's happening, something inside you knows you're changing. You don't need the world's recognition to become great. Recognition is only the final reflection of what was already built long before. People will eventually see the results, but they'll never understand the hours. They'll admire your strength, but never witness the struggle. They'll praise your confidence, but never feel the fear you had to overcome. They'll talk about your success as if it appeared out of thin air, because they weren't there to watch it forming quietly in the dark. But you were there. You saw every step, every night, every early morning, every sacrifice, every moment you refused to give up. That's where greatness is shaped, where identities transform, where futures are made, and the world won't recognize it until the light finally reveals what the silence helped you become when life pushes someone into the position of an underdog. It often feels like a label that limits their potential, but in reality it becomes a powerful identity that shapes their hunger, discipline, and drive. People who are counted out, underestimated, or overlooked often discover a fire inside them that those born with comfort never learn to ignite. An underdog learns early that nobody is coming to save them, nobody is obligated to support them, and nobody will clap for them unless they first prove they deserve it. This realization builds a level of self-reliance that becomes one of their greatest strengths. While others wait for perfect conditions or outside help, an underdog begins with whatever little they have and learns to create opportunity from scarcity. Slow progress, small wins, and silent effort become fuel instead of frustration. The journey of an underdog is often filled with moments where quitting seems easier, but in those moments something unexpected happens. Pain transforms into purpose, doubt turns into discipline. Every rejection becomes a lesson about patience, and every failure becomes a reminder that growth is a process, not a moment. Because underdogs never had shortcuts, they naturally develop a mindset that appreciates effort more than applause. They understand that improvement is not supposed to feel comfortable, and chasing big dreams is not meant to look easy. While others look for motivation, underdogs build habits. While others worry about opinions, underdogs focus on progress. People underestimate underdogs because they only see where they stand, not what they have survived. They see the weakness, but not the resilience. They see the starting point, but not the desire to outwork everyone ahead of them. This misunderstanding becomes an advantage, because nothing is more dangerous than someone who is doubted yet determined. When an underdog starts rising, they rise without noise, without permission, and without fear of judgment. Their growth surprises people because nobody notices the grind that happens in the dark, the sacrifices made when nobody is watching, and the battles fought within their own mind. Being underestimated is not an insult to an underdog, it is a hidden blessing. It removes pressure, reduces expectations, and gives them room to build their strength without interference. Every time someone says they can't succeed, it becomes another reason to push harder. Every limitation placed on them becomes a wall they learn to climb. The world may not expect much from them, but that very mindset frees them from the fear of failing. They know failure is just information, not identity. They know setbacks are temporary, while the lesson they carry forward lasts forever. There is a unique beauty in the underdog's path. It teaches patience, builds character, sharpens mindset, and strengthens spirit. It shapes a person into someone who no longer seeks validation, but becomes their own source of power. They stop competing with others and start competing with the version of themselves that once hesitated, once feared, once doubted. And slowly, step by step, they turn their struggles into skills, their obstacles into opportunities, and their silence into strength. Every underdog reaches a point where they realize that the biggest enemy they face is not the world, not the competition, not the people who doubt them, but the voice inside their own mind that whispers limitations. The journey of rising from the bottom is not just a test of strength or talent. It is a battle of belief. The mind constantly tries to convince you that you're not ready, not capable, not worthy. And if you listen long enough, those whispers start to sound like truth. But the underdog who rises is the one who learns to challenge that inner voice, who chooses to believe in possibility even when evidence is missing, who keeps showing up when motivation disappears. There is a power hidden in self-belief that most people never fully understand. It doesn't mean pretending everything is easy. It means trusting that you have the ability to figure things out even when everything feels difficult. It means choosing to take the next step even when the path ahead is dark. Underdogs don't win because they never feel fear. They win because they move forward despite fear. They don't rise because they have all the answers. They rise because they refuse to stop searching for better ones. That mindset becomes their real strength, far more valuable than talent, support, or perfect circumstances. Belief is not something that suddenly appears. It is built slowly, through actions repeated when nobody is watching. Every time an underdog keeps going when quitting is easier, their belief grows a little stronger. Every time they overcome something they once thought impossible, their confidence expands. Little by little, they collect proof that they are capable of more than they ever imagined. This internal transformation is what makes an underdog unstoppable long before the world notices any external success. People see the moment they succeed, but they never see the nights they spent fighting doubts, rebuilding confidence, and forcing themselves to rise again. Self-belief also means understanding that mistakes and failures are not definitions of who you are. They are part of the path. Underdogs don't see failure as a dead end. They see it as a detour. They take lessons from setbacks instead of letting those setbacks shape their identity. They remind themselves that growth takes time, that progress is rarely linear, and that every strong version of themselves was once a weaker version that refused to give up. This mindset protects them from the negativity, jealousy, and criticism that others throw at them, because once you learn to believe in yourself, no outside voice can become louder than the one inside you. The moment an underdog truly believes in themselves is the moment everything begins to change. They move differently, think differently, and work differently. They stop waiting for permission and start trusting their own judgment. They stop shrinking to make others comfortable and begin stepping into their potential with unapologetic confidence. They stop allowing fear to control their decisions and start allowing purpose to guide them. And with every step forward, they prove to themselves that the world cannot set limits on someone who has decided to rewrite their own story. There comes a point in every underdog's journey when the world around them grows quiet. Friends become distant, opportunities slow down, and support feels non-existent. This silence is not always a punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. In the dark moments where nobody claps for you, nobody checks on your progress, and nobody believes in what you're trying to build, that is where real strength takes shape. Isolation has a way of revealing who you truly are when there is no one left to impress. It strips away the noise and exposes the truth. Either you give up because no one is watching, or you keep going because your purpose is bigger than your loneliness. Underdogs understand that the journey cannot rely on applause. The quiet seasons teach them to rely on discipline instead of encouragement. When no one is there to motivate them, they learn how to motivate themselves. When no one understands their vision, they learn to hold that vision tightly on their own. Isolation becomes a furnace, burning away weakness, uncertainty, and ego, leaving behind someone who doesn't need validation to move forward. This is where their inner foundation forms, and without this inner foundation, no dream can survive long enough to become reality. There is a different kind of clarity that only comes in isolation. When you are surrounded by people, you absorb their opinions, fears, and expectations. But in the quiet, you begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You start recognizing what matters to you, what drives you, and what you are willing to sacrifice for your goals. Underdogs use this season to study themselves, sharpen their skills, and strengthen their mindset. They don't waste the silence, they use it as a training ground. Every hour spent alone becomes an investment in the person they are becoming. While the world thinks nothing is happening, everything is happening. Isolation also exposes how badly you want something. When no one is watching, it becomes clear whether your dream is truly yours or just something you wanted for attention. If you keep going when the world forgets you, that means your dream is real. That means your hunger is real. Underdogs thrive here because they are not chasing fame, they are chasing growth. They don't need an audience to validate their struggle. They don't need people to cheer for them before they earn it. They know that every legend began as a nobody working alone in the dark. Every time an underdog practices in silence, every time they fail privately and rise again, every time they push through a lonely night, they build a toughness that cannot be faked. The world only sees the final product, but it is in these isolated moments where character, discipline, and resilience are built. Isolation teaches patience, something every underdog needs because nothing great happens quickly. It teaches humility, reminding them that success comes from consistent effort, not instant recognition. And most importantly, it teaches them self-reliance, because once you learn to stand alone, you become unstoppable when others finally start to stand with you. Growth happens when no one is watching. And this is the reality that separates those who succeed from those who only dream. True transformation does not happen in front of an audience. It does not happen when the spotlight shines or when the applause is waiting. It happens in the small, unnoticed moments, in the quiet battles you fight with yourself, when your resolve is tested in ways no one else can see. It is during those moments that habits are formed, discipline is strengthened, and resilience is built. When no one is there to celebrate or encourage, you learn whether your desire to grow is genuine or if it is dependent on recognition from the world around you. And most people fail here because they rely too heavily on external validation instead of trusting their own commitment to themselves. The underdog understands that growth is a private journey. While others wait for perfect conditions, they begin with what they have, where they are, and who they are. They embrace discomfort, knowing it is a teacher rather than a punishment. They wake up early, work late, practice repeatedly, and endure pain silently, because they understand that the results of effort are rarely immediate and often invisible. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every moment spent pushing past limits is a brick in the foundation of a stronger self. And though the world may not notice these bricks being laid, when the time comes, the structure stands solid, unshakable, undeniable. There is a lesson in being unseen. It forces focus. When no one is watching, you can confront your weaknesses honestly, without pretense, without shame. You can test your patience, your consistency, your courage. You can fail privately, adjust, and try again without fear of judgment. This process is what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary growth. It is what allows someone who started at the bottom to rise to levels few ever reach. The unseen hours, the silent repetitions, the invisible grind are where skill becomes mastery, confidence becomes unshakable, and resilience becomes natural. Growth becomes inevitable when you commit to it quietly, consistently, and relentlessly. People often underestimate the power of doing things when no one is looking because they equate visibility with progress. They believe that if their work is unseen, it is wasted, but the underdog knows better. They understand that growth is not a performance, it is a preparation. It is not about showing the world what you can do. It is about becoming capable of what you once thought impossible. It is about becoming stronger, smarter, more disciplined, and more capable than you were yesterday, regardless of who notices or applauds. The hidden work is the work that counts, because it forms the core of your character and capability. When you embrace growth in private, you also embrace resilience. You learn to be self-sufficient, to rely on your own standards instead of the approval of others. You learn that progress does not require recognition and that persistence is its own reward. The skills, habits, and mindset you develop in silence eventually become your advantage, because while others wait for acknowledgement or motivation, you keep moving forward. You understand that the person who grows in private will shine in public without struggle, because the foundation has already been built strong and unshakable, and no outside force can dismantle what has been forged in quiet determination. Discipline is the quiet force that separates those who succeed from those who dream, and it is rarely glamorous. It does not announce itself with fanfare or recognition. It is not loud or dramatic, yet it shapes every decision, every action, and every outcome in ways the world often fails to notice. Discipline is choosing the hard path when the easy one calls your name. It is getting up before the sun rises, long before anyone is watching. It is showing up even when motivation is gone, when fatigue is heavy, when doubt is loud. Discipline is the invisible muscle that strengthens with repetition, with sacrifice, with the small choices that feel meaningless at the moment but compound into extraordinary results over time. The underdog learns discipline because they have no other choice. They cannot rely on talent alone, nor can they expect the world to hand them opportunity. Discipline becomes the compass that guides them through the chaos of obstacles, distractions, and naysayers. It teaches them consistency, the ability to do what must be done even when the conditions are far from perfect. Every early morning, every extra hour, every refusal to quit becomes proof that they are building something lasting. While others wait for inspiration to strike, the disciplined underdog moves forward methodically, step by step, knowing that effort repeated over time is unstoppable. Discipline is also about mastering the mind. It is about saying no to short-term comfort for long-term gain. It is resisting the urge to give in to procrastination, fear, and doubt. It is about controlling impulses that derail progress and replacing them with habits that create momentum. The disciplined person does not need applause to keep going, because their vision, their commitment, and their understanding of their own potential are enough to fuel them. They develop a self-reliance so powerful that external circumstances, criticism, or setbacks cannot shake their progress. Another aspect of discipline is patience. Discipline teaches that results are not immediate, that mastery is earned, not gifted, and that growth often happens in silence. It forces the underdog to endure discomfort, setbacks, and failures without surrendering. While the impatient wait for opportunity, the disciplined create it. While the distracted waste energy chasing approval, the disciplined focus on building skills, strength, and character that cannot be taken away. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every hour spent pushing beyond limits solidifies their future, even if the world has not yet noticed. Discipline also shapes integrity. It is what keeps someone honest with themselves when no one else is watching. It is what ensures that their actions align with their vision, values, and goals. It creates a foundation for long-term success because it is built on consistency, not chance. The underdog who masters discipline knows that talent fades, luck is unpredictable, and opportunity is fleeting, but a disciplined mind and body will carry them through any storm. They understand that the small, invisible actions performed every day accumulate into the greatness that the world will eventually recognize, and that nothing external can replace the power of internal discipline. Persistence is the heartbeat of every underdog story, the unshakable force that refuses to quit even when the path seems impossible. It is what keeps someone moving forward when obstacles pile high, when failures multiply, and when hope feels distant. Persistence is not about never failing. It is about rising again every time you fall, again and again, until the world has no choice but to notice. It is the steady rhythm of effort repeated consistently, the refusal to allow temporary defeat to define your destiny. While others give up at the first sign of struggle, the persistent underdog leans into the challenge, knowing that the moment of greatest resistance is often the moment before a breakthrough. The underdog understands that persistence is lonely work. It is a road without cheering crowds, without immediate rewards, without guarantees. It is facing 1,000 reasons to quit and choosing to move forward anyway. Every setback is a test, every disappointment a lesson, and every obstacle an opportunity to grow stronger. Persistence transforms fear into fuel, doubt into determination, and frustration into focus. It is the force that turns potential into achievement and dreams into reality, because it refuses to let temporary failure dictate permanent outcomes. When the world expects you to stop, persistence whispers to keep going, and that whisper becomes a roar inside that cannot be silenced. Persistence also teaches resilience. The more you endure, the more your capacity to handle future challenges expands. The underdog who persists learns to adapt to adversity, to withstand pressure, and to navigate uncertainty without losing momentum. They understand that success is rarely linear, that every upward journey is filled with valleys and obstacles, and that the ability to keep moving forward during the low points is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. It is not the wins that shape character, but the struggles endured while remaining committed to the vision. Another power of persistence is that it builds confidence from experience. Each time you rise after a fall, each time you try again after failing, you create proof within yourself that you are capable of more than you believed. The underdog accumulates these victories quietly, and with each one, the internal voice grows stronger, the vision becomes clearer, and the resolve becomes unbreakable. Persistence is proof that effort matters, that action counts, and that the person who refuses to quit will eventually outlast everyone else who did. Persistence requires sacrifice because it demands consistency when the world tempts you with comfort and ease. It is choosing the hard work over the shortcuts, the long-term goal over the immediate pleasure, and the relentless pursuit of excellence over mediocrity. Every early morning, every late night, every repetition done without applause, every challenge met without recognition, all of it is persistence in action. The underdog who masters persistence transforms struggle into strength, invisibility into impact, and setbacks into stepping stones, and with each step they build a momentum that the world cannot ignore. Vision is the guiding light for every underdog, the invisible thread that keeps them moving forward when the world seems dark and uncertain. It is more than a goal or a dream. It is a clear understanding of who you want to become, what you are willing to fight for, and the legacy you hope to leave behind. Without vision, effort becomes scattered, discipline falters, and persistence loses its direction. But with vision, every step, every sacrifice, and every challenge has purpose. The underdog who carries vision sees beyond the obstacles, beyond the doubters, beyond the immediate discomfort, because they are anchored to a bigger picture that others cannot yet comprehend. Vision transforms hardship into motivation, struggles into training, and setbacks into lessons that move them closer to what they are meant to achieve. Vision also provides patience, because the underdog knows that transformation does not happen overnight. While others look for instant results, the one with vision understands that the journey is long, that every small effort compounds, and that the invisible work in the dark is what creates lasting success. Vision keeps them steady when the world offers criticism instead of encouragement, when failure feels heavier than triumph, and when the noise of doubt threatens to distract them. It is the internal compass that keeps them moving forward, reminding them that each step, no matter how small, is progress toward a purpose that cannot be stolen or diminished by anyone else. Another dimension of vision is clarity. When you have a clear vision, decisions become easier because you measure every opportunity, every relationship, and every choice against that guiding principle. The underdog who knows where they are going refuses to be distracted by the opinions of others, the temporary comfort of the familiar, or the fear of failure. They make deliberate choices, prioritizing long-term growth over short-term satisfaction, alignment over approval, and action over hesitation. Vision filters out the noise, sharpens focus, and turns uncertainty into a series of manageable steps toward achievement. Without it, even the hardest work can feel aimless, but with it, effort gains momentum, discipline gains meaning, and persistence gains direction. Vision is also a source of courage because it requires believing in something that others cannot see yet. The underdog moves forward despite skepticism, doubt, and misunderstanding, because they are anchored to an inner certainty that transcends the judgments of the world. Every time they are counted out, every time doors close, every time progress seems invisible, vision reminds them that they are not defined by the present circumstances, but by the possibilities they are creating. It is the fuel that drives them to continue, even when external validation is absent, and it empowers them to take risks, embrace discomfort, and endure hardship in pursuit of something greater than immediate rewards. Ultimately, vision is what transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It is what allows an underdog to rise in the dark, remain disciplined in silence, persist when hope is faint, and cultivate skills and character that the world cannot replicate or take away. Vision turns struggle into strategy, challenges into milestones, and determination into destiny. It is the unseen force that shapes the path of those who refuse to be limited by circumstance, proving that when you can see the finish line inside your mind, no obstacle outside can stop you, and that clarity of purpose becomes the most powerful advantage an underdog can carry. If you enjoyed this message, please subscribe for more videos.